So this is me making hay as they did in the 18th century. This is not what we had in mind when we bought this farm, but for some reason we regress further and further back in time every time we do this. We normally use a grass cutter from the 40s. Now this machine has been a bit unreliable, but this time it was going to be different. We gave this machine a massive upgrade, but there was one major problem. We never actually managed to make the engine run as it should. Now if I can't get this engine to run as it should today, I will need to go with my emergency solution. And that's because we have the weather window now and we need to use it. And this is my backup plan. I will need to cut the entire field by hand with this. Now this is brand new, but I would rather not have to use it. When we took this apart, we cleaned all the fuel filters and we cleaned the air filter. So I'm thinking ignition. So there is some spark, but whether or not that is good enough, I don't know. But there is something fishy going on with the kill switch. Well, this is the wire that comes out of the engine and goes up to the kill switch. And if I measure between this wire and the engine block, this is completely short-circuited. So I've cleaned this up a bit and put this back together. So we have figured out that this wire is supposed to be grounded to the machine body when you hit the kill switch. This wire is already short-circuited in the machine body. So I've run into a problem. It looks like this wheel needs to be pulled off. Now to do that, I need a tool that I don't have. Now I could order it online, but it will get more than a week before I get it. So I think my best option now is to just hit the roads. So I did try it on yesterday when I got back. And of course, it doesn't fit. So I will need to modify this tool a bit. So we managed to get the flywheel off, and luckily that didn't take much effort. So this is our kill switch and it's connected to a switch. And this switch goes up and down when the axle is turning. So now this switch is in an open position, but if we measure between the kill switch and the ground, it's still a complete short circuit. It's this wire which is grounded. I can't repair a coil. I will need to replace it. And so what does that mean for us? Well, it means the backup plan. Oh man, I'm so tired now. And I've only cut half the field. So this is going to take all day. Now I have been thinking about what I should do with this hay. Whether I should try to dry it on the ground or whether I should put it up in hesjes. So hesjes are when you put grass on strings with wooden poles. And that's an old Norwegian way of drying hay when it's too wet or too cold to dry it on the ground. Now I normally do that when we dry the second batch. But today it is kind of perfect drying weather. It's warm, it's a nice breeze. Now, it would dry really fast if it was in the sun. So these trees are casting a lot longer shadows now than what they did when we dried the first batch. And if we are going to have any chance of drying on the ground, we need to do something about it. So my tree trimming job didn't go according to plan. So it will probably be a lot easier to just cut this down. But I will need to lay them over at my neighbor's field because they're kind of leaning that way. So I've contacted him, he's not at home, I've sent a text. But the sun is not out now anyways, so we'll just continue to cut the grass while we wait. Oh god, I'm so tired. I'm being eaten alive by flies. When me and my wife bought this 100-year-old farm 8 years ago, it had been abandoned since the 60s. We never envisioned a factory farm with giant machines and giant buildings, but we also did not plan to make this into a living museum of agriculture. We wanted this farm to be a haven for us and our children, where we could grow our own food, be close to animals and nature. We wanted to be active and use our bodies, but in a way that is comfortable and healthy. Farming, as they did in the 18th century, is not healthy. Farmers from that era did often not live very long, and many ended up with busted knees or permanent back pains. This is why we normally use older machines that help us with our work instead of doing everything for us. But old machines can be unreliable. And we are done. No, I'm never doing that again, never. So we have finished cutting the grass, and while we did, I got a text from my neighbor, and he said that he's okay with me laying down these trees on his side. So I left the two last trees, and that's because I don't really think that they alone are a problem. I will take some branches off them and I think it's okay. They are also a bit too close to the power line there for my concern. And I don't want to lay a tree over a power line because that can be a really expensive affair. And also, I'm really tired now, it's been a really long day. So I seriously need a break. So my wife now has been out here for several hours now, raking together all the grass that we cut into small piles. And the reason for that is that we are so late in the year now, we are actually pushing August. And that means that it's getting a lot more wet on the ground during the night. But if we put it together in heaps like this, they will stay a bit drier, they will be more like a straw roof. So I'm really glad that I got some help now because my muscles are really sore. So I took a shower, put on my really ugly baggy pants. They are really comfortable and really ugly. And so we will soon call this a night and continue in the morning. So it's morning, and what we're going to do now is to take the hay back out because it won't dry in a heap like this. Only the hay that we need to turn today, we also need to clear up this giant mess that we made yesterday. Turning the hay over now, and that's to get it to dry a bit better. If we both get it up from the ground and turn it over and fluff it a bit, then it will dry a lot better. Now my wife have already done this once today, so this is the second time today. And the more often we do this, the faster it will dry. So it's early in the morning and it's a really nice and quiet morning, but it's also kind of foggy and wet, so I'm really glad that my wife went out yesterday evening and raked all the hay back into piles. If we had left it on the ground now, it would be really wet, because the ground is really wet. And that's the reason why we normally don't dry hay on the ground this time of year. That's why we use the hesjing method, where we actually get it off the ground. But it dried really well yesterday, and if it does the same today, I think it will be ready by the end of the day. So the only thing I can do now is wait until this fog has cleared and the sun is out, because the sun needs to dry up the ground before we can spread the hay again. So it's a few hours later and the clouds have still not lifted. It's still really grey. At least the ground has dried up, so we need to just spread this now and hope for the best. So yesterday I was so sure that this hay would dry today. They forecasted nice sunny weather, not a cloud in the sky. But as things are looking now, and with the forecast that I've changed, it's not going to be any sun until afternoon. And that's a bit of bad news, because the day after that, they have forecasted cloudy weather and maybe rain. So I'm crossing my fingers that the sun soon will show. We also do have another job today. We did not finish clearing up my neighbor's field yesterday. And that's because what's left of the trees now are actually lying in the river. And that means that we need to drag them out of there. So the sun did eventually come today, and it's actually been drying really good today. Now my wife have been turning this one time earlier today. So when I'm looking at this now, it's still not completely dry, although we are getting there. I think if we turn it one more time and let it bake in the sun until evening, then it should be good. So while we wait for the last moisture to dry out of the hay, we can finish cleaning up my neighbor's field. And we are done. Just look at that. It's like we were never even there. We have removed everything. So the grass is a bit crumpled, although that's to be expected when you lay down big trees on it. But other than that, I think that we have removed everything, and so I'm happy about this. And I'm hoping that my neighbor will be too. So the sun is setting, and that means that we either harvest this now, or we'll probably need to leave it another day, because it does collect some moisture during the night. So let's do the crunch test. So this feels nice and crunchy, and I think this is dry. So let's get this in house. So driving in the hay always gives me a really good feeling. And that's because when you're making hay, you are completely at the mercy of the weather. And the weather can be really unpredictable, so it's a bit nerve-wracking. But when you get it inside, under roof, and it's safe, then you are finished. And so probably that's why I love this. So this is it, this is the final load, and when this is on the roof, we are finished making hay for this year, and that feels really great. Now, it was never our intention to run a factory farm, but it was also not our intention to run a living museum of farming as we are doing now. And it seems like every time we try to make hay, we are regressing even further back in time. Now, as badly as things went on this second batch of hay, things went even worse on the first batch. So if you haven't seen that video yet, take a look at this video next, and I'll be seeing you on the next video. Bye for now.
Bye.